Ed Boon just teased NetherRealm's next big game, which should be an exciting time for all, and in a way it is because everyone's talking again on social media. The tweet was even one of the top trending posts on Twitter, which once again is great news, but there's one big problem. Ed Boon is a troll, so of course his tweet is very cryptic, but don't worry, we're gonna break it all down after a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Bespoke Post. Bespoke Post is a monthly membership club delivering awesome boxes of top shelf goods from under the radar brands. It's free to join, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. And every month the members are introduced to cool new products, whether it's outdoor gear, barware, home and kitchen goods, clothing, and even more. They even offer live oysters, and what products you get is based on a quiz you take beforehand. Every box has around $70 worth of goods inside, but you pay a fraction of that. Once your box gets assigned to you, you get to preview what's inside, and you can decide if you want to keep it, swap it out for a different box, or skip the month entirely for no charge. In other words, you only pay for what you want. And best of all, they're offering a 20% discount. Just use my link down below and use the code on screen at checkout. Alright, so first up, we have the Terra knife. As many of you already know, I do live in Texas, and as such, my family loves to go camping quite a bit, and this is going to come in very handy because it cuts pretty much everything. Next up, we have a do-it-yourself hot sauce kit. As you can see, it comes with 4 different glass bottles, a funnel, and even the hot sauce ingredients themselves. We have hot and smoky or mild citrus. I'm not gonna lie, both of those sound very tasty, and I can't wait to make this stuff. And then finally, at the end of the day, we have the do-it-yourself margarita kit. This is my personal favorite because it comes with everything I want. Both of these glasses are hand blown, which is already amazing. Then you have the margarita mix and the chili powder. It even comes with a custom juicer. Put your lime in between here, squeeze down, get all the juice and none of the pulp. To get 20% off your first box, click the link in the description and enter TUDG20 at checkout, or just go to bespokepost.com/TUDG20. Alright, so what did Ed Boon do to light Twitter on fire? What has the MK community in such a fuss right now? What has sparked the next great debate? The fans have been waiting for any news on Mortal Kombat 12 or Injustice 3, whatever is coming, for the longest time, and Ed Boon had the nerve to post this. What do you want to see from NetherRealm Studios next? Yeah, his hint at the next game is a multiple choice quiz. And here's the thing, NetherRealm's already been working on the next game. They're not gonna change it based on this poll, so don't freak out. They've already been working on it. That's been proven multiple times. In fact, for anybody unaware, game studios are always working on the sequel before they finish DLC on the current game. That's just how the industry works. Or in other words, NetherRealm is not going to change what they're working on as a result of this poll. Ed Boon is literally just trolling everybody and kind of also gauging interest on what consumers want. And let's be real, everyone knew which option was gonna win. How would Marvel versus DC lose to anything, especially when a different option was a Marvel game? Listen, I love Marvel, and I would love a Marvel fighting game made by NetherRealm, but if you offer me waffles and pancakes, I'm gonna pick both. For anyone not aware, the metaphor is that Marvel is the waffles and DC is the pancakes. I don't just want waffles, I want waffles and pancakes. So yeah, I'm gonna vote for Marvel versus DC. And keep in mind, NetherRealm already has the go-ahead to make games based on DC content, so they could theoretically make a DC versus Marvel fighting game. But the issue is Marvel has to be on board, and then above them, Disney has to be on board. And I don't think DC Marvel wants any of their characters to lose a fight to the DC characters. They're that petty, trust me. I'm not saying it can't happen because anything can happen. I'm just saying I'm doubtful. It would be amazing to have a Marvel versus DC fighting game, especially if it plays like Injustice, because I'm a big sucker for the Injustice series. Mortal Kombat 11 was definitely much simpler than Mortal Kombat X. It wasn't as aggressive, the combos weren't as creative and open, and as a result, I look back on the Injustice game very fondly because Injustice 2 changed almost nothing. It only added a couple of new features and that's it. But I digress, let's go back to this poll. Like I already mentioned, Marvel vs. DC is the least likely thing to happen on this list. So next up, let's start from the top. We have Injustice 3. This one I would honestly look forward to the most because I still want to play Beast Boy in a fighting game. And I think Azazel would also be pretty cool. And right now I'm brain farting on my favorite DC characters that I always want to be in Injustice. I can't think of them at the moment. I guess I'll just put them on screen because honestly, I've made videos on them in the past. I have a wish list, a dream list if you will, of the roster for Injustice 3, so that idea has me the most excited. However, that doesn't make it likely. Unfortunately, there have been several leaks that do hint at Mortal Kombat being the next game. Now, we don't know if it's going to be a fighting game even, it could be anything. However, all the hints do point towards it being a Mortal Kombat game of some kind, so it could be Shaolin Monks 2, it could be a brand new IP, but it's going to be Mortal Kombat related. And that's why the bottom option is actually the most likely likely, a new Mortal Kombat game is the most likely thing we're going to get. And even though I did talk trash about Mortal Kombat 11 a bit earlier, keep in mind I do still love that game quite a lot. I still play it to this day. I'm a big fan of the dash canceling, I like some of the new moves they added, and I do like footsies, I genuinely do. However, with that said, if I was NetherRealm, I would try to make it a lot more like MKX for the next Mortal Kombat game. Bring back the run feature, but calm down with the 50-50s that made MKX so unlikable for a lot of players. Because that is one thing that MK11 did really well. I think only one of two characters have 50-50s in that game that lead to full combos. So for me, the perfect Mortal Kombat game would have the aggression of MKX, but still keep the dash canceling and footsies and even customization of MK11. Oh, and get rid of Breakaway. Thanos snapped that thing out of existence and bring back Combo Breaker. Nobody likes Breakaway. Well, I'm sure some people do, but we're just not their friends. We don't talk to those people. Anyway, you get the idea. Mortal Kombat 12 is the most likely, or at the very least a new Mortal Kombat game. But now let's talk about the final possibility, a Marvel fighting game. I won't lie to you, this idea has me very excited. Once again, extremely unlikely because I don't think Disney Marvel would sign off on this. However, oddly enough, I do think it's more likely than Marvel versus DC, because if it's just a Marvel fighting game, then that means Disney does not have to share the spotlight with DC, and I think that would be the main deal breaker for them. I don't think they would mind any free promotion from NetherRealm, and that's why I do think that a Marvel fighting game is more likely than a Marvel versus DC fighting game. I know the other one is way more popular of an idea. People would love Marvel versus DC, but I just see it as way less likely. Which is a shame, because back in the day, Marvel and DC had no problem doing crossover comics all the time. It was a really common thing, and it was super fun to read. However, it's been a long time since we got anything like that. Those two properties don't talk to each other anymore. But why am I so excited about a Marvel fighting game? I'll tell you why. I love Marvel vs. Capcom. I really do. The combos are insane. The tag combos and assists are really cool, but I've never been a fan of the impact and the sound design of those games. The hits never sound satisfying. And the one thing NetherRealm does better than any fighting game is their sound design, and I will die on that hill. When Katana slices you with her fans, it sounds real. When Jax breaks your jaw with a punch, the bone crunching and impact all sounds visceral and real, and I want that in a Marvel fighting game. I don't want any crushing blows or x-rays or fatal blows. I don't think we need any of that, but I do love the sound design of NetherRealm games. If NetherRealm made a Marvel fighting game, then the impacts would finally sound real. It would finally sound like Spider-Man is punching with the force of a semi-truck, which he can. Oh man, and can you imagine playing as Hulk and just doing a Loki on the opponent where you grab their ankle and just slam them back and forth? The sound design would be perfect from NetherRealm Studios. So that's the main reason I get hype at the idea of a Marvel fighting game from NetherRealm, but on top of that, the combos would be really hype. Once again, I love Marvel vs. Capcom, but I don't like the magic sequence combos where it's just light, medium, heavy launcher. I don't like that. I really do prefer the way NetherRealm does it, where every character has their own set of attack strings that are unique to them. And I also like the meter burn mechanic a lot more than an EX move in typical fighting games like the Capcom games. And finally, if I'm being completely honest, I'm not a big fan of some of the Marvel characters in those games, like Spider-Man. I'm just not a big fan of his playstyle. I know it's a hot take, but I'm just not a big fan of how Spider-Man plays in that game. I think it's accurate to how Spider-Man would move, but it just doesn't feel very satisfying. It feels awkward and kind of weird. Unlike Jeddah and Morgan, I love how they play in Marvel Infinite, but Spider-Man's just never felt fun to play for me, so I want to see how NetherRealm does it. I want to see NetherRealm take a crack at all these different Marvel characters, though I can hear the Force Snake in the background because you know this game would have a story mode, and that means these characters could be utterly ruined by bad writing in the story mode. I'm not saying NetherRealm has terrible writing, because I don't think they do. I actually really did like MKX for the most part, and even though MK11 did have a bunch of plot holes, I don't think it's that hard to make a Marvel fighting game with a good story. I mean, for Pete's sake, just reference the comics and you pretty much have all the groundwork you need for a great storytelling experience. So yeah, in summary, I'm not too worried about the story mode in a Marvel fighting game, and I am very excited at the possibility that NetherRealm could make a Marvel fighting game. Let me know in the comments, which characters do you want to see the most in a Marvel fighting game by NetherRealm? For me personally, I'm going to say Hulk, Spider-Man, Venom, and You know what? Dr. Doom, because Dr. Doom is just too cool. If you read the comics, he's one of the most interesting and funny characters in fiction. The man's an absolute goon. Alright, so to end this video, I'm now going to rank every possibility on this poll from least likely to most likely. At the very bottom, we have Marvel vs. DC. For all the reasons I previously mentioned, I don't think these two companies are going to play nice with each other. Because even if they are kind of on board with the idea, you know somebody's gonna say, well, what if the Marvel characters beat up the DC characters more than the DC characters beat up the Marvel characters, and then Marvel seems stronger than DC? I don't want that. I can absolutely picture somebody at the executive position saying something like that and just denying this idea completely. But then right above that, we have the Marvel fighting game. It's a bit more likely for Disney to sign off on this because they don't have to compete or share the spotlight with DC, so I think it's a bit more likely of a possibility. And then right above that, we have Injustice 3, which makes the most sense in terms of a pattern, because for the longest time it has been Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Mortal Kombat, Injustice, Mortal Kombat, and as a result, it seems like Injustice 3 would be next. However, once again, all the rumors and leaks point in the opposite direction. If I was a gambling man and I had to put money down, I would say Mortal Kombat is the next likely project by NetherRealm Studios. It might not be Mortal Kombat 12, but it's going to be something Mortal Kombat related. But once again, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I love reading the comment section. It's one of my favorite hobbies of the day, so make your voices heard down below. And then while you're down there, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And then keep that combo going by subscribing and ringing that bell, that way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.